You've probably heard it your entire life. From parents, maybe teachers, definitely banks. Save your money. It sounds like, well, the most basic, responsible thing you can do, right?
It's presented as step one for financial stability. And in a way, it is.
But here's something that might feel a bit unsettling. And this is where we really need to start this deep dive. If saving is the only thing you're doing with your money, month after month, year after year, your money is actually losing value systematically. The very act you thought was building security might actually be undermining your long-term financial goals. It's a paradox.
It really is. And that paradox, it's the source of so much confusion for people just starting out, trying to get a handle on their finances.
Yeah, the classic question. Should I save first? Like really pile up the cash? Or should I jump into investing right away to get that growth?
Exactly. People treat them like they're either the same thing or total opposites you have to choose between.
And what happens then? Using paralysis, right?
Yeah.
Either you hoard cash in a savings account that pays almost nothing, and inflation just eats away at it.
Or you jump into the market without any kind of safety net. Then one surprise bill, a car repair, a medical thing, and boom, your whole plan gets derailed. You might even have to sell investments at a loss.
It's a mess.
It is. So our mission today really is to get past that false choice. We need to lay out the simple truth about saving versus investing. What's the job of each? Why do you absolutely need both? And critically, in what order?
Because the sequence is everything.
It's the key to building real, lasting financial freedom. We've looked at sources that map this out really clearly, step by step. It's about moving from just surviving emergencies to actually, thriving financially.
Okay, let's dive in and unpack this.
So let's get right to the heart of it. Why do so many people mix these up?
Well, it's not like anyone's created to mislead you, usually. It's just a fundamental misunderstanding of what each tool is for. People think saving and investing both lead to the same end goal, getting richer.
That's the core mistake right there. The belief that putting money in a bank account somehow automatically builds wealth over the long term, it just doesn't work that way.
Saving gives you safety, absolutely, but it won't make you wealthy, not at a rate that beats the rising cost of living or inflation.
Which is the big one. So we need to pull these two concepts apart, think about their function. I really liked the analogies used in the material we looked at. Saving first.
Saving is like building a wall, a big, strong, protective wall around the money you have right now.
Yeah, a really solid wall. It's designed to keep out immediate threats, right? Like if you suddenly lose your job or the car breaks down or you have an unexpected medical bill.
Things that happen.
They definitely happen. And that wall gives you safety, it gives you access to cash quickly, liquidity, and honestly, a huge amount of peace of mind. You need that wall because life throws curveballs.
It stops those external shocks from wrecking your finances. That's its job, protection.
But, and this is the key point, if all your effort, all your resources go into just making that wall higher and thicker.
You're not actually expanding your territory, are you? You're just staying put inside the walls. Safe, but stuck.
Exactly. Which brings us to the other analogy, investing.
Investing is like planting a seed.
Right. You take a bit of your capital as seed and you put it somewhere fertile, like the stock market or real estate. And with time, patience, maybe a little nurturing.
That seed doesn't just sit there. It grows. It turns into something much bigger. A tree, maybe eventually a whole forest, if you give it enough time.
So the trade-off becomes super clear, doesn't it?
Yeah.
You absolutely need the safety of savings to protect what you have. No question.
But if you only build the wall and never plant any seeds.
You stay safe, yes. But your wealth, it never actually grows. You're stuck in that same protected little square forever.
So it's not an either-or. You need both. But they do completely different jobs. One's for defense, for stability right now.
That's saving.
And the other's for offense, for growth, for abundance down the road.
That's investing. And if you only focus on one, you're setting yourself up for problems. If you don't save, one emergency can wipe you out.
And if you don't invest, you're basically guaranteed to just tread water financially, or even sink slowly over time because of inflation.
And maybe the most important distinction, the money you use for the wall, that's not the money you expect to grow the forest. They need to be separate pools with separate purposes.
Save for the short-term buffer. Invest for long-term wealth.
Got it. Okay, so before we really hammer home the danger of only saving, we absolutely have to double down on why saving itself is so crucial. It's not bad. It's essential.
It's a foundation, right? The safety net under the high wire act of life.
Couldn't have said it better.
Yeah.
It's what catches you during those predictable moments of, well, unpredictability.
Yeah, the stuff that just happens. Your fridge dies suddenly and you need, what, $800, maybe $1,000 right now?
Or the transmission goes on the car, that's easily a couple $1,000s. These aren't maybes, they're wins.
And the big one, of course, is losing your job or having a major income disruption. That can easily last 3, 4, even 6 months or more.
And if you don't have savings when those things hit, what are your options? They're both pretty terrible.
Option 1, you might have to sell your investments. And what if the market happens to be down right then? You could be forced to sell low, locking in a loss, totally wrecking your long-term growth plan.
Exactly. Or, arguably worse, you get forced into high-interest debt. That $2,000 car repair goes onto a credit card charging, what, 20%, 25% APR?
Ouch. That's compounding working against you. It can take years to dig out of that, canceling out any small gains you were making elsewhere.
Savings is what prevents that downward spiral. It keeps you out of expensive debt during those really stressful times.
Okay, so this makes the first step crystal clear. Build that emergency fund. First things first, it's the bedrock.
Non-negotiable. And the consensus, backed up by everything we looked at, is aiming for 3 to 6 months worth of your basic living expenses.
Let's emphasize basic. What does that mean exactly?
It means the absolute must-haves: rent or mortgage, utilities, food, transportation, insurance premiums, minimum debt payments. Not the fun stuff, not eating out, not vacations, just what you need to keep the lights on and a roof over your head.
And why the range? 3 to 6 months. How do you decide?
It really depends on your personal situation. If you've got a super stable job, maybe 2 incomes in the household, lower cost of living, 3 months might be enough cushion.
But if you're self-employed or in an industry that has lots of ups and downs, or you're the sole provider for a family,
then you absolutely want to lean towards that 6-month mark, maybe even a little more, just for peace of mind. It's about matching the buffer to your level of risk.
Okay, amount decided. Now, where does this money actually live? If it needs to be safe and accessible fast.
It has to be somewhere super liquid and secure. The best place typically is a high-yield savings account, often called an HYSA.
High yield sounds good, but we're not expecting huge returns here, are we?
No, not at all. High yield is relative to, say, a traditional checking account or a basic savings account that pays virtually nothing. These HYSAs are FDIC insured up to $250,000, so the money's safe. And you can usually get the cash within a day or two.
So the main job isn't growth, it's safety and accessibility.
Precisely. Any interest you earn is a nice little bonus, helps offset inflation a tiny bit, but it's secondary. This is your protection money, its real function. Buying you peace of mind, knowing it's there lets you sleep at night. If it's safe and easy to get to, it's doing its job perfectly.
Okay, so saving is essential. We've established that. Build the wall first.
Yeah.
But now we hit the paradox, the real trap. What happens when someone builds that 3 or 6 month fund, feels secure, and then just keeps piling all their extra money into that same savings account?
That's the critical mistake. That's the moment your financial progress not only stalls, it actually starts going backwards in real terms. If saving is all you do long term,
Your money is actively losing value.
systematically, it's like a slow leak in your financial boat.
Let's slow down here because this trips people up. If my bank statement shows I have, say, $10,000, how am I getting poorer? The number is still $10,000, or maybe even a bit more with interest.
Right. The number might look fine, that's the nominal value, but the silent enemy is inflation.
Explain inflation simply.
Inflation is just the general increase in prices for everything over time. Gas, groceries, housing, you name it. When prices go up, each dollar you have buys less stuff than it did before.
So the number on my statement stays the same or goes up maybe 1%, but the actual purchasing power of that money is shrinking.
Exactly. It's like a hidden tax on holding cash. Let's use that example from the sources. Imagine inflation is running at, say, 4% for the year. That means stuff costs 4% more on average than it did last year.
Okay, 4% inflation, and my high-yield savings account, if I'm lucky, is paying me maybe 1% interest.
Right. So nominally, you gained 1%. Looks okay on paper, but what's the real picture?
Well, I lost 4% in buying power due to inflation, but I only gained 1% back from the bank. So I'm actually down 3% for the year.
You got it. Your money lost 3% of its ability to buy things in the real world over that single year. You might feel safe seeing the balance, but your actual wealth, your ability to live, is decreasing.
Wow. Okay, let's project that out. That's where it gets scary. What if I have, say, $20,000 sitting in that savings account, just losing 3% of its real value every year?
Well, after about 10 years of that 3% annual loss in purchasing power, your $20,000 would only buy, roughly $14,800 buys today.
I've lost over $5,000 in actual spending power just by playing it safe.
Yep. And let's stretch it to 20 years, that same $20,000. After 2 decades of losing 3% real value each year, it would only buy, about $10,900 buys today.
I've lost almost half its value.
Just by holding it in safe cash that didn't keep up with the cost of living.
This is devastating if you're saving for something big and far off, like a down payment on a house.
Oh, absolutely. Imagine you're saving for a $50,000 down payment. It takes you 5 years. But if housing prices are going up 4% a year because of inflation,
by the time I save my $50,000, the down payment I actually need might be closer to $60,000.
Exactly. You feel like you're making progress, but the goalposts are moving faster than you are. Your saving strategy can't keep up.
So, the verdict is clear then. Saving is critical, but only as a short-term shield for emergencies. It buys peace of mind, not long-term wealth.
If your plan stops at saving, your money is actively getting weaker over time. That's the savings trap.
Right. So if saving alone means slowly losing ground to inflation, investing must be the answer to actually getting ahead, right? It's the way to beat inflation.
Precisely. If saving is defense, investing is offense. It's the mechanism specifically designed to make your money grow faster than the rate of inflation.
It's really the only reliable path for most people who aren't already super wealthy, to build significant lasting wealth over their lifetime.
That's right. And the core concept shift is from just holding cash to actual ownership. When you invest, you're typically buying small pieces of productive assets.
Like stocks, which means tiny bits of ownership in companies.
Usually stocks, yes. Or maybe real estate or bonds. But you own something that has the potential to generate more value.
Okay, so how does owning a piece of a company make my money work while I sleep?
Well, think about what companies do. They make things, they sell services, they innovate, hopefully they generate profits. As an owner, even a tiny fractional owner, you get to share in that success in a couple of ways.
Oh.
First, potentially through dividends. That's when the company takes some of its profits and distributes it directly to shareholders, like you. A little cash payment.
Okay, direct payout. What's the other way?
Capital gains or capital appreciation. This is simply the value of your ownership stake. The stock price going up over time as the company becomes more successful, more profitable, and generally grows bigger.
So my money is generating returns, either through payouts or the value increasing.
Yeah.
And these returns are what fight inflation.
Yes, and historically, they haven't just fought inflation, they've crushed it. We have tons of data looking back decades.
What does the data generally show for something like the stock market?
Obviously, past performance never guarantees future results, but looking at broad market indexes like the S&P 500, the average annual return over long periods, like multiple decades, has been somewhere in the ballpark of 8% to 10% per year.
8 to 10%.
Yeah.
Compared to maybe 1% in savings and 4% inflation. It's a huge difference.
It's massive. Even after you account for inflation eating away some of that return, the real growth, the actual increase in your purchasing power, is still significant. Savings gives you negative real returns. Investing historically has given positive real returns.
Okay, that sounds amazing. Almost too good to be true. What's the catch? There has to be some risk, right?
Yeah.
Especially for someone just starting out.
Absolutely. That's the crucial question. The catch is volatility. The stock market doesn't go up in a nice, smooth, straight line.
No, it definitely doesn't.
There will be days, weeks, even years where the market drops, sometimes significantly, like 10%, 20%, maybe even more in a real crash. And watching the value of your investments temporarily shrink, well, it's scary. It feels awful.
And that's when beginners often panic and sell, right? Locking in those temporary losses.
That's the biggest behavioral mistake. So the fundamental trade-off is this. Investing offers the potential for much higher long-term growth, enough to beat inflation and build real wealth. But
you have to be willing to ride out the short-term ups and downs. You need patience and discipline.
Exactly. While saving offers stability and predictability day to day, but pretty much guarantees that slow loss to inflation over time.
Okay, so volatility is the price of admission for higher returns. But there's something else that makes investing incredibly powerful, isn't there? Something that really separates it from saving.
Yes, the absolute game changer. The thing that feels like magic but is just pure math. Compound interest or compounding returns.
Let's spend some real time on this because it's so important.
It's everything. When you save, you earn interest only on your original deposit, the principal. Maybe a tiny bit on the interest too, but it's slow.
Linear growth, basically.
Pretty much. But when you invest, The returns you earn, those dividends or capital gains, ideally get reinvested. They buy more shares, more ownership.
So the next year, you're not just earning returns on your initial money.
You're earning returns on your initial money, plus all the returns it generated in the previous years. Your money starts making money, and then that money starts making more money.
It's that snowball rolling down the hill analogy.
Ah.
Starts small, but picks up speed and size exponentially.
Exactly. There's a handy little shortcut called the Rule of 72. It's a rough estimate, but it helps illustrate the power.
How does it work?
You take the number 72, and you divide it by your expected annual rate of return. The answer tells you approximately how many years it'll take for your money to double.
Okay, so if we use that historical average market return of, say, 8%, 72 divided by 8 equals 9.
Right. So at an 8% average annual return, your invested money roughly doubles every 9 years.
Every 9 years, let's trace that. If I invest $5,000 when I'm 25.
By age 34, assuming that 8% average, it's roughly $10,000.
Okay. Then by age 43.
It doubles again.
No.
$20,000.
Age 52.
Doubles again. $40,000.
And by age 61.
Doubles again. $80,000. That first $5,000 turned into $80,000. And you didn't lift a finger after putting it in, assuming you just let it ride and reinvested the returns.
That's incredible. Now compare that to saving. That same $5,000 in a 1% savings account, using the rule of 72, 72 divided by 1.
It would take 72 years just to double once.
The difference is just staggering. Investing grows exponentially. Saving grows barely, especially after inflation. That contrast explains everything about why investing is essential for building wealth.
Okay, theory is one thing, but seeing the numbers play out in a real-world scenario, that makes the difference really hit home. Let's talk about Sarah and Jake.
Right, the two friends from the material we looked at. Both are disciplined, which is great. They both manage to save $200 every single month. That habit is fantastic.
Absolutely. The discipline is there for both. But where they put that $200 makes all the difference in the world over time.
So, Sarah takes the path of pure saving. Every month, that $200 goes straight into her safe, traditional bank savings account. Maybe it's earning that 1% interest we talked about.
She's prioritizing that feeling of safety, the comfort of seeing the balance only go up, even if slowly. Very risk-averse.
Then there's Jake. He understands the inflation problem. He already got his emergency fund sorted, that's key. So this extra $200 a month, he directs it into a simple, broad investment.
Like an ETF, an exchange-traded fund that just mirrors the overall stock market performance. He's accepting the short-term bumps for that potential long-term average growth. Maybe that 8% we use.
Okay, let's look at them after 10 years. They both put in $200 a month for 120 months. That's $24,000 each of their own money saved.
Right. Sarah, with her 1% interest, she'd have maybe around $25,200 after 10 years. Just over $1,000 in growth.
Okay, $25,200. What about Jake? Even accounting for some market ups and downs, if you average that 8%.
After 10 years, Jake's $24,000 invested would have grown to approximately $36,000.
$36,000 versus $25,000. That's almost an $11,000 difference already, just from choosing a different destination for the same amount of money saved each month.
And that 11K gap, that's purely the result of compounding starting to work its magic for Jake, while Sarah's money barely grew.
That's significant after just a decade. But the real power of compounding becomes much more dramatic over longer periods, doesn't it? Let's push this out to 20 years.
Yeah, let's do the 20-year numbers, both still contributing $200 a month. So over 20 years, they've each put in a total of $48,000 of their own money. $200 by 12 months by 20 years.
Okay, $48,000 contributed by each. What does Sarah have after 20 years in her 1% savings account?
Sarah's $48,000 principal, with that minimal 1% interest compounding very slowly, would grow to roughly $53,000.
$53,000, okay. A safe, solid number, bigger than what she put in.
Definitely. Now, Jake. He also put in exactly $48,000, but his money has been working in the market, averaging that hypothetical 8%. The growth from the first 10 years has itself been growing in the second 10 years.
So what's Jake's balance after 20 years?
Assuming that 8% average holds, Jake's investment account would be worth approximately $120,000.
Whoa, hang on. Let that sink in. Same amount saved $48,000 each. Sarah has $53,000. Jake has $120,000.
That's a difference of $67,000.
$67,000. Where did that come from?
It came from Jake's money working for him through compounding. His $48,000 generated an additional $72,000 in growth. Sarah's $48,000, it only generated $5,000 in growth.
That is just mind-blowing when you see it side by side. And the key point, the really crucial insight here is,
Jake didn't work any harder. He didn't save more money. He didn't have some secret stock tip. He simply understood the difference between saving and investing and chose the right tool for long-term growth. That $67,000 gap is essentially the price Sarah paid for staying in comfort mode.
Okay, but let's address the elephant in the room. What if Jake started investing right before a big market crash? Say, 2008 happened in his second year. Wouldn't you have freaked out and lost a ton?
That's a really important question, and it brings up another key investing principle that Jake was likely following. Dollar cost averaging, or DCA.
Explain DCA.
Jake wasn't investing his $48,000 all at once. He was putting in that same $200 every single month, month after month, regardless of whether the market was up or down.
So when the market crashed and the price of his ETF went down,
His $200 bought more shares than it did the month before when prices were higher. He was essentially buying low automatically.
like buying things on sale.
Exactly. And when the market was high, his $200 bought fewer shares. Over the long haul, 20 years in this case, DCA smooths out the bumps. It forces you to buy more when things are cheap and less when they're expensive. It's a discipline that helps take emotion out of it and benefits from volatility over time.
So the regular, consistent investment habit actually turns market downturns into opportunities.
Over the long term, yes, that consistency is key. Okay, so we've seen saving is for safety, investing is for growth. They have totally different jobs and wildly different outcomes long term. Now we can definitively answer that original question. Save first or invest first?
And the answer, based on everything, has to be both. Right. But the order is absolutely critical. Get the sequence wrong, and you're taking on way too much risk.
Precisely. Let's lay out the sequence very clearly.
Step 1. Save first for safety. What does this mean in practice?
It means you focus exclusively on building that emergency fund until it's fully funded that 3 to 6 months of essential living expenses we talked about. Park that money in a safe, easily accessible, high-yield savings account.
This step is non-negotiable. It's the wall, it's the foundation.
It's your primary risk management tool. It ensures that when life inevitably throws you a curveball, the job loss, the unexpected bill, you don't have to touch your long-term investments. You handle the emergency with your savings.
It buys you time, it buys you options, it reduces stress massively. Only when that safety net is fully in place. Only then do you move to step 2.
Step 2, invest for growth. Once that emergency fund is solid, then pretty much every extra dollar you have, money you won't need for several years at least, should be directed towards investments.
Investments designed to outpace inflation and harness the power of compounding.
Exactly. That's when you start planting the seeds.
Let's use that mountain analogy again because I think it really helps visualize the sequence.
Yeah.
Imagine financial freedom is the summit of this huge mountain.
Okay, I like it. So saving is like setting up your base camp at the foot of the mountain.
Yeah, you pitch your sturdy tent, you stock up on supplies, food, water, first aid. You make sure you can weather any storm that might hit early on.
Without that secure base camp, if you just start climbing and a blizzard hits, you're exposed. You're in trouble.
So the base camp savings is essential preparation. Then, investing is actually starting the climb towards the summit.
It's the only way to actually reach the top, to get to that goal of financial freedom. The climb itself might be tough, right? There are steep parts, maybe some loose rocks, market volatility, but the overall direction is upwards.
And the analogy shows the danger of getting the order wrong perfectly. If you skip the base camp, saving cast, and just start climbing, investing.
A sudden storm emergency or a slip, market crash, could send you tumbling all the way back down. Maybe even worse off than when you started. If you get injured, go into debt.
Conversely, if you spend all your time just reinforcing the base camp, making it bigger and bigger long after you have enough supplies, saving way more than 6 months.
You're super safe down there at the bottom, but you never actually make any progress up the mountain. You never reach the summit. You're protected, but you're not free.
So build the base camp first. Save. Then start the climb, invest. That sequence is the path to both safety and reaching your long-term goals.
Okay, this is super practical. For someone listening right now who's maybe just finishing up building that emergency fund, or they've just hit their 3 or 6 month goal, they're ready for step 2, they're ready to start climbing. Where do they actually begin? It can feel overwhelming.
Totally understandable. The key here is to keep it simple, keep it broad, and focus on consistency. You don't need a complex strategy to get started. You just need to get your money working.
First step has to be opening the right kind of account, right? Your regular bank savings account isn't going to cut it for investing.
Definitely not. You need what's called a brokerage account. Think of it as a specialized account designed to hold investments like stocks and ETFs.
Where do people find these?
Look for big, reputable companies known for low fees and user-friendly platforms. Names like Fidelity, Vanguard, Charles Schwab often come up. There might also be good, established investment apps available depending on where you live.
What should you look for when choosing? Simplicity is good for beginners. Trustworthiness is huge and absolutely critical. Low or ideally zero commissions on trades. Nowadays, you shouldn't have to pay a fee every time you buy or sell a basic ETF or stock.
Okay, account open. Now the big question, what do I actually buy? The idea of picking individual stocks is terrifying for most beginners, trying to find the next Apple or Amazon.
Yeah, don't do that. That's unnecessary risk and requires way more research than a beginner needs to worry about. The simplest, most recommended starting point is a broad, diversified, exchange-traded fund ETF.
Remind us what an ETF is again.
Think of it like a basket that holds hundreds, sometimes thousands of different stocks or bonds or other assets. When you buy one share of the ETF, you're instantly buying tiny little pieces of everything inside that basket.
So instant diversification. If one company in the basket does poorly, it doesn't really hurt you much.
Exactly. It spreads out your risk massively compared to owning just one or two stocks. We call that minimizing single stock risk.
And the sources we looked at often mention a couple of specific ETFs as good starting points, right? Like VOO or VPI.
Yes, those are very common examples, especially for U.S. investors. VOO is an ETF that tracks the S&P 500 index. VTI tracks the entire U.S. stock market, basically.
Let's quickly define the S&P 500 again for anyone unfamiliar.
It's simply an index representing the 500 largest publicly traded companies in the U.S., weighted by their size. It's often used as a benchmark for the overall health of the U.S. economy and stock market.
So buying VOO is essentially like making a bet that major American businesses overall will continue to grow over the long run.
That's a great way to put it. It's a bet on the whole system, not just one company. Much less risky for a beginner.
Okay, makes sense. Now, practicality. Let's say VOO costs, I don't know, $400 a share right now. What if I only have $20 or $50 a week to invest starting out? How does that work?
This is where modern brokerages have made things so much easier. Fractional shares.
Meaning I can buy just a piece of a share.
Exactly. Most major brokerages now let you invest by dollar amount. So you can say, I want to invest $20 in VOO, and instead of needing $400 for a full share, you'll get $20 worth, which might be 120th of a share, or 0.05 shares.
That's huge. It removes that barrier of needing hundreds of dollars just to get started.
Yeah.
Anyone can begin investing with whatever amount they can afford.
It's incredibly empowering. It means the habit of investing is more important than the amount when you start. This ties back to dollar cost averaging, DCA.
Right, investing that same amount regularly, like every week or every payday.
Yes. Start small if you need to, $10 a week, $20 a week, whatever fits your budget after your emergency fund is full. Set it up automatically if you can. The consistency is what builds wealth over time, far more than trying to invest a big lump sum perfectly.
Okay, what about fees eating into small investments? If I invest $20, I don't want $5 going to fees.
Good point. Two things to watch. First, choose that zero commission brokerage we mentioned. Second, look at the expense ratio of the ETF itself.
Expense ratio.
It's a small annual fee the fund charges to manage the investments within the ETF. For broad index funds like VOO or VTI, these fees are incredibly low, often something like 0.03% or 0.04% per year.
So for every $10,000 invested, that's like $3 or $4 a year.
Exactly. It's minuscule. Always choose funds with very low expense ratios, especially for these core holdings. High fees are a major drag on long-term returns.
Okay, practical steps recap. Open a low-cost, zero-commission brokerage account. Set up automatic, regular investments DCA into a broad, low-expense ratio ETF like VOO or VTI. Use fractional shares so all your money goes to work.
And maybe the most important piece of advice psychologically, don't try to time the market. Don't worry about the daily news headlines. Automate it, let it run, and focus on the long game, decades, not days. Trust the process.
We've covered the what and the how, the mechanics of saving, the mechanics of investing, the right order. But we can't wrap this up without talking about the why people struggle with step 2. There's a huge psychological piece here, isn't there?
Oh, absolutely. This is where finance meets human nature. You can understand compounding intellectually, but actually doing it, especially when markets get choppy, requires a real mindset shift.
It comes down to that fundamental trade-off we touched on, comfort versus freedom.
Let's spell that out. Every single dollar you decide to keep in savings, it offers you comfort today, right now.
How so?
It's visible. You can log into your bank account and see it. It feels stable. It's accessible almost instantly. That reduces anxiety now. It feels safe. And our brains love feeling safe. It's a powerful, immediate reward.
Okay, savings and comfort today. What about investing?
Every dollar you choose to invest, that's a deliberate choice for freedom tomorrow.
Explain that.
That invested dollar is less visible day to day. Its value will fluctuate, sometimes worryingly. It's less accessible quickly. It requires you to tolerate uncertainty and short-term paper losses. You're essentially trading that immediate, tangible comfort for a much larger but more distant and less certain possibility of future freedom.
And this is why so many people get stuck. They build the emergency fund, which feels great, and then they just stop there. They keep saving, but never really start investing meaningfully.
That's exactly what the sources suggest happens frequently. People get trapped in comfort mode. The immediate psychological win of seeing that savings balance grow, even slowly, feels better and safer than the abstract, potentially scary long-term promise of investment growth. They prioritize today's feeling of safety over tomorrow's actual financial potential.
It's classic risk aversion, isn't it? Saving feels like zero risk, even though we know it has the guaranteed risk of inflation eroding its value.
Right. While investing has visible short-term risk, the market going down feels like a real loss, even if it's temporary. It's hard not to react emotionally when headlines are screaming about market crashes.
So how do people overcome that? What does the mindset of someone who successfully built wealth look like?
They've made a conscious decision. They recognize that safe savings isn't truly safe over the long run if it's not growing faster than inflation. They understand that volatility is just the price you pay for the potential of much higher long-term returns.
They see the bigger picture.
Yes, they're willing to make that trade. Less comfort today for significantly more freedom and options later. They've internalized that once the safety net is full, the primary job of any new long-term money is growth. They tune out the short-term noise because they know compounding works over decades.
And this often connects to that observation, doesn't it? That people who are diligently building wealth often don't look rich right now.
Exactly. They might drive an older car, live in a modest house, not have the flashiest clothes or gadgets.
Why?
Because they're choosing to direct their money away from things that provide immediate gratification but lose value, depreciating consumption, and instead channeling it towards things that are less visible but grow in value over time, appreciating assets.
They're playing the long game.
They're positioning themselves to sleep rich tomorrow, as one source put it. Their focus isn't on appearing wealthy today. It's on building an engine of financial independence that will give them choices and control over their time later in life. It's a contract they make with their future selves, and they stick to it. Hashtag ITRO.
Wow. Okay. That really brings it all together. We started with that slightly scary idea that just saving money might actually make you lose ground financially, but we've really mapped out a clear path forward.
Yeah, I think the key is understanding the distinct job of each tool. Let's recap that one last time. Saving is your shield. It protects you right now. It gives you stability, security, peace of mind when things go wrong.
And investing.
Investing is your engine. It multiplies you. It uses the power of compounding and economic growth to beat inflation and build real wealth, creating possibilities for your future that saving alone just can't.
So the big takeaway isn't choosing one or the other. It's understanding you need both. And crucially, knowing when and how to use each one. The sequence matters immensely.
Save first, build that essential foundation, that base camp. Then, immediately after that secure, invest consistently for the climb, for growth.
That's the path from just surviving financial shocks to actually thriving and building the future you want.
So, if you're listening, start building that safety net today, if you haven't already. And the moment it's full, start investing for your future freedom. Don't delay step 2.
Now, today we really focused on how to get started with investing, setting up the account, choosing that first simple ETF, building the habit.
Right, but that's just the beginning of the climb. The next vital step, maybe something for a future deep dive, is understanding how to manage and optimize that growth over decades. Things like tax efficiency, how your mix of investments might change as you get older, asset allocation, dealing with a portfolio when it starts getting significantly larger.
Yeah, managing success brings its own set of questions.
It does. Sustaining that compounding requires ongoing learning and adjustments.
So a final thought for everyone listening. Take a hard look at your own money tonight. Is it mostly sitting in comfort mode, slowly losing purchasing power? Or have you started putting it to work, building towards your future freedom?
Think about finding the right balance between that crucial safety net and the engine of growth. We really encourage you to start making that shift. If you haven't already, start climbing.